All right. Hello again, adventures, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is Daily Vlog 2025, number 82, and today I want to get weird. And I need a drink. If anyone's wondering, I mentioned this before. For whatever reason, my brain has decided that I will feel like absolute dog feces unless I have a glass of orange juice. Don't know why, but that's just how my brain has decided I work. So this is my orange juice. So today, I mentioned before the idea that, like, when I sit down to create a character for a TTRPG, in general, I don't want to play kind of a traditional TTRPG character. And a lot of that comes back to the idea that from doing the convention circuit for as long as I did, and just how involved I've been with D&D specifically, and TTRPGs is kind of a larger whole, especially with like the reviewing that I do and all that stuff. Like, I have seen every single different version of a fighter, of a wizard, of a rogue, of a ranger, of a barbarian. Like, I've seen every single kind of traditional variation of them in every medium ever. And so, one of my kind of design philosophies when I'm building a character, and I tell this to whenever I get a new player for one of my campaigns, whether it's someone that's joining one of my campaigns as like a permanent player, or whenever I have like a guest on like Realms of the Wild. What I do is I sit down with them, and depending on their kind of level of experience with TTRPGs in general, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, okay, well, what does the party need? And my response to that is always, it really doesn't matter. Mechanically, I will find a way for your character to fit into the party. That's my job, as the game master and the person that is helping you to build this character. That's my job, to figure out how to get it to work mechanically in a way that's going to make you useful to the party. What I want to do in this particular instance is I want you to be excited about playing the character. That is the most important part about getting a dedicated player, is having them actually excited about their character. So I don't want you to think about mechanics. I don't want you to think about party composition. I want us to sit down and come up with a character that you would be excited about exploring. And so for me, coming up with a character that I'm excited about exploring is kind of difficult. Because again, I've seen so many of the various variations of characters that I just get bored very, very easily. So I really enjoy TTRPGs that either allow you to build kind of non-traditional characters through like a robust, maybe multi-classing system, or some sort of customization system like feats or things like that, or TTRPGs that inherently just have kind of weird character classes built into them. For example, there is a TTRPG that I'm planning on doing an in-depth review on their core book, because the core book officially came out for purchase for people that didn't back the Kickstarter back in January. The TTRPG is called Break with an exclamation point, and it is a hyper anime inspired TTRPG. So much so that one of the races is effectively isekai, where you're a human, but you're a human from the real world that has been isekai'd into this. So, the system itself is unique enough that I think it's pretty impressive, but one of my favorite aspects of the game is the first class that it shows you in the kind of character creation chapter is a class called the Factotum. And what the Factotum is they are a shopkeeper of some sort that has accidentally become an adventurer. And their kind of defining feature is they have a massive backpack. Like that's what the character is they're not intentionally an adventurer. They're an accidental adventurer with a giant backpack. And most of their class abilities revolve around them accidentally becoming useful. And eventually, you can take an ability that allows you to use your backpack as either a shield or a massive bludgeoning instrument. And if I remember correctly, that ability... thank you, phone. That ability kind of flips to where, like, you don't have to choose when you choose the ability, well, I want a massive bludgeoning instrument or I want a shield. You can kind of pick and choose in the moment if you want to use it as a shield or if you want to beat people to death with your backpack. And I just love that. Now, the rest of the classes in this particular TTRPG tend to follow a little bit more traditional, like fantasy-based TTRPGs. Like you have your fighter, you have your rogue, you have a ranger style character. You actually have two different kind of flavors of paladin-esque characters. You have the battle princess and I can't remember what the other one was called, but it's basically battle princess but dark. So it's really, really interesting. But again, the thing that draws me to this TTRPG so much is the fact that first character that you see is a character that I don't think I have seen in any other TTRPG. The accidental adventurer. And I just love that. To me, the fact that that's the starting point. That's the first character that you get to see. To me, that kind of shows that, hey, this is going to be a different feeling TTRPG. Another example, in Open Legend, I can't remember where I saw this particular character. I think it's in the core book where they're talking about the various different attributes that you can put points in. And one of the attributes is called presence. And if you're unfamiliar with Open Legend, first of all, it's a phenomenally amazing TTRPG that unfortunately just didn't get a lot of love. And it was a little bit mismanaged after its Kickstarter. And as far as I can tell, it's effectively dead in the water now. But the entire rules set is available for free online. So it's not like you can't play it or anything, or it's really, really hard to... No, it's super, super easy to get. It's not particularly expensive. It's just not really getting support. There's never been an additional supplement put out for it, which is sad because it's a really amazing system. In it, you assign points to various attributes. It's a skill-based TTRPG. But the interesting thing about it is, depending on how many points you've invested in and what level each one of these skills in are, it gives you access to this system called Banes and Boons. Banes are basically debuffs and bad things that can happen to enemies. Boons are good things that can happen to you. And you have your kind of traditional, like, damage over time, or, you know, weakening Banes, and like, your healing boons. But then you'll also have things like transformation of effects, or summoning is one of the boons. And so through that, you can really create any kind of character you want. And one of the other kind of interesting things is you're kind of traditional. Like, if you want to be a healer, a lot of people would think one of the extraordinary skills you can have, or attributes you can have, is called creation, which is kind of your healing magic style thing. And so you would think, oh, if I want to be a healer, I have to be invested in that. No, the heal boon can be invoked using a number of different attributes. And one of them is presence. And presence is effectively, the way they describe it, presence is basically how you interact with the world. So it could be directly tied to kind of a charisma stat, just how charismatic you are. One of the other examples they give is it could just be that you're really lucky. And they kind of go into this explanation of a character who is entirely presence based. And so, like, in combat, instead of them being like this really cool fighter where they're doing all this stuff, they just, like, they'll trip over something, and that causes them to dodge out of the way of an attack, or they'll accidentally step on something and it causes something else to fall on the bad guy. And that could be a way that you could create this really interesting, very kind of clumsy, accidental hero. And so that idea, again, that's not a character that exists in any other tabletop RPG I've ever heard of. The character that just kind of, instead of being this amazingly powerful martial artist that's able to punch everyone in the face, they're just somebody that goes, "Hi, my name is Kevin. I don't know why I'm here. Get him! Ah! Run! Ah! Boom. And then, like, a cabinet falls on them. It's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Ah! Another person's trying to kill me. Run. Accidentally goes, I'll close this door. Closes the door, accidentally causes, like, a ceiling fan to fall. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. I just love that kind of idea of a character. And again, Open Legend allows for very non-traditional characters because of just how open this system is. So yeah, I'm trying to think of other examples of, like, worker. D&D 4th edition had some phenomenally weird character classes. Like, again, the Warlord is one of my favorites, where they're literally just, they're a strength-based healer. It's what it is. They're a strength-based healer. Or they had another one, I think it was called the Seeker, whose thing was they like to use throwing weapons, but the throwing weapons would always come back to them. And then they could invoke various kind of spirit animals, because they were kind of like an offshoot of, like, a druid or a shaman. So again, a throwing weapon based character is not really common in TTRPGs. Even in D&D 5th edition, I think it was Tasha's Cauldron of Everything introduced the throwing weapon fighting style, which is, it's really, really simple. It just gives you extra damage to throwing weapons. But throwing weapons in general tend to not be very viable in 5th edition. They don't tend to interact with feats particularly well. They're really, really short range for as far as ranged weapons are concerned, and they generally tend to have really, really low damage dice. So it's not like I built a throwing weapon based character, but I had to know the system really, really well to do that. Whereas 4th edition, again, had an entire class built around the idea of, hey, this character does throwing weapons super, super well and can do cool things with it. but you're not limited to that. Like, you can do a more traditional ranger style character that uses a bow or something. You just also have the option of throwing shit. Um, yeah. Interested to hear from you guys. Any of you guys that have played, maybe not more obscure TTRPGs, but TTRPGs that are not Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder. Um, what is your favorite non-traditional class that you found in a TTRPG? Like I said, right now, I'm a big fan of the Factotum. I think it's super, super cool. But I'd love to hear other TTRPGs that just have weird character classes. So go ahead and put those in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, this is all for me today. I will see you guys and then next time. All right? Bye-bye.